Hello and welcome back to another episode of Into the 99, where we've got 99 cards because Commander's number one. I've got Sherman with me and I've got Thunder with me. Sherman, how you doing today?
Doing good. Not bad so far. It's warming up here. We had a cold spout for a bit, and then now it's in the pluses, so my migraines are acting up. How about you?
I'm doing good. I bought really, really nice headphones. I've got some QC Ultras, so I'm sad about my recording ones at the moment. These new ones are just so nice. I'm just staring at them. But yeah, no. Other than that, like I'm big on music, so having nice headphones has been just a very nice little thing for me. Other than that, no, it's been a good week and everything. I went out, found a nice new restaurant last night. It was all good stuff. And yourself, Thunder, how are you doing?
I'm happier that it's warmer in Germany at the moment. The last week or so, it's been minus temperatures here in Frankfurt, which is not as common as previous years. So it's been cold.
That's fair.
But yeah.
Is it normally hot there?
It's not normally like -5. But at least now with the warmer temperatures, I can get out a bit more. I need to get in the garden and do some tidying up as well. I saw some yellow flowers sprouting, so that's a good sign. So yeah, happier to get a bit more energetic outside, and yeah, I'm looking forward to today's brewing.
Yeah, we I guess jumping right into it, we there's cool new spoilers for the Final Fantasy stuff, and because of that, I wanted to randomly brew one of them, because I like to randomly brew stuff. And Slothy is away today. I think he had to work or something, he was saying. Something like that. Slothy's busy
he's
today.
at the work site right now.
Yeah, which means that Slothy doesn't get to live brew cool stuff with us, but we get to live brew cool stuff. So we decided we're going to go with the Commanders, because they're kind of the talk of the town. Sherman mentioned we should read all of them before we do. I agree. They're cool things. So let's go with the Commanders before we say anything on it. But even before we say that, thank you quickly to everyone who is over on Patreon. Very, very cool. You guys support us there. If you want to support us and don't feel like coming to Patreon, just like, share, subscribe. It does really, really help us out. It gets people to see stuff. Also, go check out the really nice articles that Thunder is writing. That is a very, very cool big one, and it's got a lot of views. So good job on that one, Thunder. I'm pretty happy with that. That's your really quickly. That's the deck building, right?
It's to do with building effective mana bases.
Yeah.
Yeah. A quick summary there. So just for those who are interested in it, it's to do with just how in Commander you would structure your mana base in a Commander deck to be effective. I think the most useful information there is finding a color that will make your building more reliable. So if you got green, obviously, then I call it leaning into green. So you'll sort of stack your building around green mana. But yeah, so there's lots of stuff there. I'll put some queries in there, which I think is the reason why everybody keeps going to it. Which take you to Scryfall, and it shows you the lands for that color combination, or all the different color combinations. And I'll be using that today, just to look, because there's always new lands coming out, so having a more generic query, which I must admit, Scryfall improved their query syntax recently, so it keeps getting better and easier to write the queries. So yeah, go check it out, and let us know what you think. Did I miss anything? I probably did, but you know.
And then final thing is, if you want any of the cards we talk about today, go to houseofcards.ca, pick them up there, promo code IT99. It's going to get you a discount at checkout. They're great. They've got lots of really, really good inventory and stock, and these are things people are already going to be wanting. The Final Fantasy Commanders have just been Aether Drift. I was generationally hating on Aether Drift, in my opinion, for good reasons, but Final Fantasy is like, it's not a game. I'm not a Final Fantasy player, right? So it's not really my IP that I'm excited for. But the card designs so far, they again feel in line with Magic. I like swords I can get down with. You know, it's a lot more than race cars and magic and stuff like that. And the art on it looks great so far. These effects look phenomenal. Like, there's a lot I want to build out of this already. So, with that being said, let's jump into what these commanders are, and then we'll pick one and see where it goes from there. So, who wants to take the first one here?
I mean, I don't mind.
It gets first.
So, which one should I start with?
Start with Cloud here.
Cloud. Okay, Cloud X-Soldier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Cloud X-Soldier, 2 mana, red, green, and a white. I think that's Naya, right?
Yeah.
As a commander. So good colors for a sort of Voltron-y build. Haste 4/4. He's a legendary creature, human soldier mercenary. And when Cloud enters, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to it. Whenever Cloud attacks, draw a card for each equipped attacking creature you control. Then, if Cloud has power 7 or greater, create 2 treasure tokens. So, little expensive for a commander, but I mean, it's reasonable for Voltron. And he draws you cards, you get free equips, and later when he's bigger, which is quite easy to do, I mean, let's be honest, you get 2 treasure tokens as well. So, yeah, he's like an all-rounder, really.
Yeah, it's the ramp, the Boros equipment's always just been a good thing, right? And Boros equipment with green is always going to be better. That's good equipment colors.
Yep.
Well, it's like if you look at Fallout with Dogmeat, he was the same colors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and Dogmeat was already pretty strong.
Yeah, people really like the Dogmeat one.
He was very sort of graveyard oriented, and there was a ton of really good auras that worked with him. I mean, I have a really nice, it feels super full of things to do kind of Dogmeat build. But I feel like this Cloud is going to be, there's another Boros, very similar style commander. It was Ikiri or something like that. Which I imagine you could take your previous Ikiri build and just add green into it, and now Cloud is your new commander. So I think it would be quite an easy commander to build around, especially if you've already got a base commander like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not off the top of my head thinking of any great green equipment that would strike me as I'd put that in. I might just go with the already sort of colorless or Boros equipment. I mean, Ember Cleave, obviously.
Yeah, I would honestly just throw the green as just my ramp color.
Yeah, you could say ramp and giving a reach, because that is another thing that the Boros decks would usually struggle around, is you need to give flying or something.
Yeah.
But reach is
that evasion. The ability to auto-equip something like Helm of the Host is really strong, because then you can pick up Helm of the Host and then like a Colossus Hammer and be swinging in pretty aggressively. It having haste is already pretty good. Like I said, it can pick up that Colossus Hammer really, really easy, which makes this, like a 14/14 with haste?
Yeah, straight away. And yeah. I mean, it's not, I mean, there's so many other cheat equipment abilities, so you could easily get like 2 equips onto him immediately, and he has haste, so he's going to be swinging straight away.
Right. Sherman, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, but I would.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I would do that. I can do that. So I just want to say with Cloud, I would probably just go abuse the fact that with each attacking creature, you draw a card. So I would go for all the equipment that has evasions, like Trailblazers boots, and give flying and menace and everything, and just go nuts and just draw a lot of cards. But that's just the first card. Let's go to the second card with Terra, Herald of Hope. It's going to be Mardu color, so red, white, and black. It's a 3/3 human wizard warrior. It has trance. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you mill 2 cards. Terra gains flying till end of turn. Nice. Whenever Terra deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2 mana. When you do, return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tap. This seems fun.
Yeah. I think that's a very cool commander. Power 3 or less and not mana cost is a very interesting. Yeah. I like this. I could see this being very fun to build. I'm interested in what direction they went with the precons. They've been giving us less and less new cards with the precons. Like a lot of times we get like 10 new cards a deck, maybe at most. So most of what they put in a precon, we can build ourselves here. I think this one looks pretty cool. The one that I'm the most excited for, I would say, on this list of commanders is this Titus. Not because it's basically Rigo 2.0, but it's I'm building it Rigo-esque. So we have Titus Una's Guardian is 1 green, 1 white, 1 blue for a 3/3 human warrior. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can move a counter from target creature you control onto a second target creature you control, which is it's pretty fun to be able to move those counters around like that. I think that's fun. And then there's an ability called Cheer. Whenever one or more creatures you control with counters on them deal combat damage to a player, you may draw a card and proliferate. Do this only once each turn. So that wording's very confusing and weird. Like would this trigger once per player or only once per turn per player? I don't understand this wording it's clunky. The wording is clunky.
Well, when it's to a player, it's per player then.
But then it says, do this only once each turn?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, I suppose it's trying to rein in that scenario. Like, maybe you're going to hit 3 players or more. And if you're trying to double strike, then it would only...
Maybe that's what it's for, is for the double strike?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is once...
Look on Gatherer.
I was going to say, I think it is once per player, because they wouldn't say to a player that way. But I think that is to get rid of the double strike or the double damage kind of things. Because draw a card and proliferate on damage is too strong. There's enough stuff that gives double strike that is an issue.
Especially if you're going to play with like nothing but like unblockables, right?
That's the direction I would go with that. Just straight unblockable infect. Proliferate 3 times a turn with some double strikers.
Yeah, no.
I no longer have friends to play with. And
do you want to take the last one?
Yeah, let's talk this last one. I love the art on this. It's so cool, both versions. You taking this one, Thunder?
Sorry, I was just having a little cough there.
No worries. Okay.
So we're going with Y'shtola, right?
I think so.
Knight's Blessed. So it's a Esper commander, 1 white, blue, and a black mana. For a legendary creature, Cat Warlock with Vigilance, 2 power, 4 toughness. And at the beginning of each end step, if a player lost 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, Y'shtola deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. So it's worth mentioning that this is each end step, and thanks to Hans Eriksson for his comments in the Patreon around. He wants to build this using ramp artifacts.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was just initially thinking. Like you're straight out, like your Commander Sphere, those things.
Yeah, and so I brought up there. Then actually, if you can get Flash, then this is just going to go mad, because then you do it every turn, and it's just those things can be sacrificed to draw cards, and you just go deep real hard, and it's just trigger every turn. So I can see this being a lot of fun and probably quite strong as well. Honestly, I don't hate any of these for a brew. I think they're all pretty cool. Let's random pick it. I have a number generator, max 1 to 4. Let's see what we're brewing. Are you guys ready? Sure. Number 4, we are doing apparently Y'shtola. Awesome.
So okay. should we grant Hans's wish and brew it like with nothing but mana rock and recalling?
Yeah, I like this idea.
For Hans and then casting them again.
Sure.
I didn't even think about all of them to your hand. I like that, like a Hercule's recall kind of thing.
Yeah, so you have like things like Hercule's recall. You have retract. You have like all sorts of things like that, right? So it comes down to let's see, so like you need mana. Okay, so we have 2 choices here. We can either bring them all back to our hand, or if we do that, we go with mana rocks, or we can go with like mana dorks, and then do things like casting from the top of our library instead. So if you use things like Bone Harvest or Foot Bottom Feast or things like that, you can return as many creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library, and then you draw a card. But you have things like Mystic Forge or Reality Chip or Bullets to Citadel, things like that. You can start casting basically for free, depending on your artifact reducers from the top of your library, and recast your whole graveyard in a sense.
I like this. I like this direction that this is going already. It sounds like we got a little bit of combos here and there. I like it.
Like those are the two ways I would do it if you wanted to go that route. So let's pick one.
Let me quickly.
Unless you guys want to do it a different way.
I like the idea of just throwing kind of whatever in. I'm just adding you as a collaborator here, Sherman.
Yeah, I'm a collaborator.
So this way we can all just add things to the deck if we'd like to. So obviously we need a Y'shtola.
Yeah.
Let's set this as our commander, and I'm going to add just 11 of each mana quickly to be kind of placeholders. And let's see what we can get. So I'll add Swamp, Island, and what am I looking for? There we go. White Island Plains.
Can you put the link in the chat for us to look at?
You should be able to live edit with me as well.
Yeah, if you have Architect open, then you should have in your profile received a notification at the top bell, and it will tell you that there's a live brew.
I have control, suckers.
There we go. Miss me with that, yeah. Okay, so let's look at. I kind of agree. Let's look at our 3 mana artifacts. So 3 mana artifacts. What would we kind of want to put into it? For obviously a Commander Sphere, I think, right?
Yeah. So Commander Sphere off the bat. Give me 1 second.
I'll set this up as a ramp category.
Why is my computer being finicky?
3 mana artifacts. Okay.
So there's like Darksteel Ingot. If you have a lot of money, you can throw in all the bobbleheads.
That's fun.
Ooh, I like that.
Hey, hear me out. There's synergy if you throw in all the bobbleheads from Fallout.
Let me see here.
So we can do a Scryfall query for those, I guess.
Lucky.
Because each bobblehead adds 1 mana of any color, okay? But each one also cares about how many other bobbleheads you have. So if you're throwing them out, you might as well synergize all of them. So I say throw in all the bobbleheads.
I'm down with that.
There's 7 bobbleheads, right?
Is there 7 or 6?
I think it's 7. I'm just quickly dragging them into the deck here, and let's see what they do from there.
Yeah, I like this kind of janky sub theme that you can like just throw in. It's cross universe, but hey.
I like this though. This is our video game deck. Let's go through let's go through these and read what they are. I added 7 in, so I'm going to take this first one.
All right.
Agility Bobblehead. These are all 3 mana rocks. These actually aren't even that expensive. This is $16 to do this. This is pretty reasonable. Yeah, hey. I like this. So we have Agility Bobblehead. They taps for 1 mana. Pay 3 and a tap. Up to X target creatures you control gain haste until end of turn and can't be blocked except by creatures with haste, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control as you activate it. So we get a little bit of unblockable. Okay. And we want to have life loss anyways, so.
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
So these artifacts, they've got the type bobblehead. Would something like Mosswood Nessus give us more bobbleheads?
I don't think that would give us
only creature types.
I don't think that would give us more, yeah, because it's creature types. But we could make none of these are legendary, so we can clone these artifacts really easy.
Yeah. So you have like Nico of the Light or whatever from like what is it? The horror set. You know, that you could make copies of things. And they're in white and blue. Man, why does my memory not work with that well today?
Yeah, so if you animate the artifacts, turn them into creatures, basically.
Here we go.
And
Eagle, Light of Hope. For
make copies.
2 a blue and a white. Okay. Human Wizard 3/4. It's from Dustmore. There's so when it enters, you create 2 shard tokens, but you can tap 2 and tap it. Exile target non-legendary creature you control. Oh wait, it's legendary creature. Shoot.
Yeah, creatures as well.
Never mind, I take it back.
All right, so no Nico.
How about Nico. This? So if we go with like one of those animator type creatures or artifacts that can turn the bubbles into a creature, artifact creature, and then you do something like a rite of replication, we should have enough mana to use its kicker of 5. So maybe I'll read the spell. I'm using in standard at the moment just because it's just ridiculous. But
so
it's
if you want to do that, then you're looking at least Toymaker.
Well, I was going to say before we go a little too silly into this, there's a lot of other ways that we can make artifact copies that are a lot easier to get around.
Okay,
that is very true.
Right, like we can pretty easily like get things like a Drafna copy target artifact spell you control, any of the what's the word I'm thinking, like Sahili's, all the Sahili stuff copies all of that.
Yeah, there's also when you cast an artifact, copy it or create a copy when it enters, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know what I think could be interesting as well? Let's throw in a masterful replication here. If we want to go this like interesting balls to the wall route, masterful replication is an instant. It's 5 and a blue. You choose one, create 2 3/3 colorless golem artifacts, or choose target artifact you control. Each other artifact you control becomes a copy of that artifact until end of turn. So we can spam put everything into our we can make mega bobblehead whatever we want to.
Yep.
Let's read these bobbleheads and see if we actually like this one first.
Let's do the bobbleheads.
Yeah, Sherman, you take our second one here.
All right, we're going to do. We have Charisma bobblehead. All right, so tap to add a color, so we know that. Tap 4 mana, tap it, create X/1/1 white soldier creature tokens, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Activate only as a sorcery.
Okay, all right.
Take the next one, bobblehead here.
Yeah, Thunder, you take Endurance.
Okay, Endurance bobblehead, 3 mana, because they're all 3 mana. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, and you can pay 3 and tap it, and up to X target creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control as you activate this ability. Activate only as a sorcery. This sounds perfect for animating the bobbleheads.
Yeah.
Like, this would just be insane.
I like this.
We're going to have fun with Rise and Shine.
Oh, this is nice too. We have Intelligence bobblehead. Pay 5, you draw X cards where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. That's pretty good. I'm okay with that.
Luck bobblehead's the one that I really like the most, especially if you have a bunch of bobbleheads, because so 3 mana, tap to add, blah, blah. For 1 mana, you tap it, roll X 6-sided die, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. Create a tap treasure token for each even result. If you roll 6 exactly 7 times, you win the game. Imagine having 20 of them. You're like, okay, let's see if I can win just from rolling the die.
I like this. I'm okay with this one.
Sorry, everybody. I'm going to spend my turn rolling 20 dice.
I like this. I'm the kind of player who's into that one.
Oh, very cool.
Right. You take our Perception.
Yeah, Perception bobblehead. So I won't read the same stuff again. It's the same as the others. And the ability is 3, tap it, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. You may cast a spell with mana value 3 or less from among them without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Well, this makes me think...
That's great.
We want to reduce ability costs, like training grounds or something. And that works perfectly if we go with 3 mana value mana rocks.
Yeah.
Because it works with the commander, works with that. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I like this one. I think it's Heartstone is another one. What is Heartstone?
Oh, we got one more bobblehead as well.
Let's do it's creature ability. Yeah, that one won't work.
It can still work if we turn them all into creatures. So maybe.
No. Training grounds is the better one. So we've got our strength bobblehead as our last one here. Again, another ramp one, but you tap, put X11 counters on target creature, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control. I like this little thing. These really synergize with themselves. They're a fun little sub theme to the deck. I think we have to put in, knowing we're going deep with this artifact route, we need to put in, I think, a Rise and Shine.
Yes, please.
Target non-creature you control becomes a 0/0 artifact creature. Put 4/1/1 counters on each artifact, and then we can overload it for 6. I think that's a great way to overrun the board and like win the game with our artifact board state. Let's make that a finisher.
Okay, so we have a few choices here where we can throw in a Decanter of Endless Water at least.
Yep.
It's a 3 cost.
Decanter of Endless, yep.
And because like we're gonna need that, and I know it's only a 2 cost, but we're gonna need a Thought Vessel, because if we're gonna return these rocks back to our hand, we're gonna want a higher chance of getting infinite or no max hand size.
A Thought Vessel.
I know it's a 2, but for Thought Vessel, but still,
it's okay.
Just safer.
We can have a few,
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like my Smeagol deck where everything is literally a 3 for a cost.
Yeah, we gotta curve out still.
How do we feel about a Forensic Gadgeteer? Let me read this one here.
That's fun, because every time you cast the artifact, you investigate, and then the activated abilities cost 1 less.
Yeah, so I like it. It's bringing artifact cost down. It's a 3 cost.
Yeah,
it's giving us a little draw.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, I'm just trying to see what we can get for a little bit of some draw.
A draw, there's a lot. So, but before we go to draw, let's throw in things that will like bring back the artifacts to our hands. So we were looking at let's see,
return artifacts.
Herco's Recall.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm just return artifacts MTG.
So there's Herco's Recall, which target player returns artifacts. There's Rebuild, where everyone returns all artifacts to the owner's hands. There's Paradoxical Outcome.
Oh, that's a great one where we draw.
Mana, it's an instant. Yeah, that one's the one you return any number and you draw. And then there's Retract? Yeah, Retract. Return all artifacts you control to your hand. That's a 1 mana cost. That one we need. That one's expensive, I think.
Okay, so 1 second here. I'm putting this in a category called the Bounce House.
That's a good name.
And then Retract, you said?
Yeah, so we have Retract.
Return. That's a good save. Retract is 1 mana. Return them all to your hand.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, someone plays some artifact hate and you want to get your stuff back. We should have more than enough mana lying around. We do have to be careful the bobbleheads at least produce any color mana, but of any kind of artifacts that will produce just colorless, because this is a 3-color deck.
Yeah.
So we have to be careful.
How do we feel about adding in something like Mirrodin Besieged? It's gonna also trigger our Mirrodin Besieged is gonna trigger our 3 cost that we're looking at, and it's gonna give us options. So it's 2 and a blue. When it enters, you choose Mirrodin or Phyrexian. Whenever you cast an artifact, you create a 1/1 colorless mirror, so great for just pumping the board with tokens if we need. Or it has Phyrexian at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then discard a card. Then if you have 15 or more artifacts in your graveyard, target opponent loses the game. So kind of a nice way to get around people.
I personally don't like that one. Like the casting artifacts and getting mirrors is nice, because most likely that's what you're gonna do. Because if you choose the second ability, most people will just target you, and then you're kind of dead.
Mm-hmm.
But I would rather have something like Master Thopterus or like Efficient Construction, where you're making 1/1 Thopters instead, because at least you have flying evasion.
Yeah, I like that. And Sai is also a much nicer budget option, 49 cents for 7. I may be bored of this Mirrodin. I like it.
You have that. You have like Efficient Construction. That I know that's an enchantment, but like whenever you cast an artifact, you create a Thopter.
Mm-hmm. How do we
So like that's
efficient? Let's put that here. Okay, efficient construction. I like that, and the same thing. It's on our list, like our color. Let's get I think we have a decent number of artifacts and start here. I want to kind of look at some of the stuff that does what our commander does, like maybe a Sig. Beginning of each end step, and if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn, you may draw a card. What do we think for that with Sig?
Throw it in for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna target that, we need to get the flash items.
Tidal Barracuda?
Tidal Barracuda. What's the
Leyline of Anticipation?
The mirror that does it as well. But I just need
would, instead of Tidal Barracuda, like, I don't like Tidal Barracuda because it gives everyone flash. I would rather put in something like Wrath Capuchin,
but that's
Mage.
Oh, I was going to say that's only historic, but that's what we want.
Yeah,
like, because that's in, like, artifacts and legendaries and sagas, right? Same thing with Shimmer Mirror.
Yeah, I got Shimmer Mirror. So let's move Tidal Barracuda, and let's I say we make this a flash category. Where is my add a category?
Ooh, you know what's fun? Let me see.
Okay, so we have flash. Where's my flash category? Raft flash. Did I have another flash one? I'm like LA Line of Anticipation. Yeah. Okay.
Ooh, excuse me.
We want to, so at the beginning of each end step, if a player loses 4 or more life this turn, you draw a card. So what else is going to make them lose life?
I don't think we'll have a problem with that because, firstly, your Stoller needs to be on the battlefield to benefit, obviously. So we can assume her other ability is going to get us there. That's what the Flash was really aiming to achieve.
To get those things out, yeah.
Yeah. So you want to have your artifact cost reducers so that you can basically cast them for free and at flash speed. And then you can just quickly knock 2 into the battlefield. You don't have to do like 10 in a single turn because it's not really going to benefit you.
Another thing to look at here too is that we can be the player that loses 4 life to get that draw.
That's true. What if we throw in what's his name? Villis?
Broker of Blood?
Villis?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the one where like anytime you lose life you draw that many cards and you pay like a black and like 2 life and target creature gets like -1/-1.
Yeah.
I think it's like a little bit more expensive card. It's like a $6 or $10 card, but hey, it kind of fits with everything.
Well, yeah, and then like I said, we can be the player that triggers this 4 life, right?
Yeah. So you throw that in. You can throw in things like Greed. So 3 and a black. You pay a black and 2 life, and you draw a card.
Yeah, pay that twice. That's easy to trigger. I like this. Let's make a few our own life cards.
Yeah, I finally got Scryfall Query to give me the flash cards that I wanted. There's only 4.
Okay, 1 second here. Let's go back to that then in 1 second here. I'm just making this pay our own life thing. So we have pay our own life, and we will put Villis and Greed there for now. What else do you have for flash here?
So the Shimmer Mirror is the one that I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
I always want to make use of this. This is the perfect opportunity because it's 3 mana for a 2/2 creature. It has flash as well, and you may cast artifact spells as though they had flash. So
yeah. I got Shimmer Mirror in here.
Then there's Renari, Merchant of Marvels.
Oh, the dragon.
So 3 and a blue for a 2/4 Dragon Artificer. He's a legendary as well. You may cast dragon spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. So most people will probably miss the artifact part of that because it's on the next line. And he's a potential commander as well. So choose a background, but we don't care about that. But yeah. And then the next one is Liberator, Urza's Battle Thopter. 3 mana for a 1/2 flash flyer, also a legendary artifact creature of type Thopter. Has flying, and you may cast colorless spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. And whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast that spell is greater than Liberator Urza's Battlethopter's power, put a +1/+1 counter on Liberator.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. I actually want to build a deck around that just because it's cool. And then the last one I think is a little bit more pricey, if I remember correctly. And that's Gandalf the White. 3 and 2 white for a 4/5 Avatar Wizard. He's got flash, and you may cast legendary spells and artifact spells as though they had flash. And then this is probably why he's more expensive. If a legendary permanent or an artifact entering or leaving the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. So great synergy.
Yeah, I like that as a flash section. That's strong.
If we're gonna go that direction, you might as well throw in the new Heliod, the one that has the other side where, like, whenever someone draws
Blue
cards,
white Heliod.
Things cost less. You know
which Heliod
about?
is it?
It's the blue white one.
It's
Radiant
the newest
Dawn,
one from Invasion or something like that. Hang on.
Yeah, I found it. Heliod Radiant Dawn. 2 double white. When it enters, return target enchantment that isn't a god from your graveyard to your hand. You can transform it, and we can pay life to transform, which does also help trigger. And what do we get on the flip side? You may cast spells as though they have flash. Spells your opponents cost. Spells you cast are 1 less for each card your opponents have drawn this turn. That's great. I like that one.
Since we're paying life for things, an auto include should be Spellskite.
Yeah, that protects our commander and stuff. It's
protects our commander. We can pay life to redirect things. You know, it shuts down certain strategies. Like I played someone against someone that had like a Pride of the Hullclade, and they try using the Pride's ability to target itself, and I'm like, no, redirect Spellskite. I'll play 2 life.
Yeah, that works well.
I'm gonna give us a Mirage Mirror. Mirage Mirror is a nice 3 mana artifact, and it's going to be able to turn into these bobbleheads if we want, which is nice.
Talking of protection, maybe we want to have Padim in there as well.
Which one? Oh, Padim.
Yeah. So he gives us a little bit of card draw if we've got the biggest artifact, but he gives our artifacts hexproof. So I think that's good.
So here's a question: do we want to be more pillow fort, or do we want to be more aggressive?
To me, it seems like we would stack up a ton of these artifacts, kind of not be quote unquote problematic, but
no, we're always going to be problematic because it's hitting everybody, right? The commander is just going to burn everyone.
Well, yeah, it hits everyone, but like if we're gonna go pillow for it, we might as well throw in things like Lawrence Annex and stuff like that, right? Or Cross Space or Silent Arbiter.
I don't think we're going pillow 40 with this right now. Like the direction we're looking at. Okay. Like I like the idea of going more into these artifacts. Like I'm looking more at things like a Mirror Works where we can copy our artifacts, or a self-replicator. Like
mechanized production.
Mechanized production is great. I'm going to throw Mirror Works. I'll read that one. Mirror Works 5 mana. Whenever another non-token artifact enters under your control, you can pay 2. If you do, you create a copy. We're flush with mana, right? We've got so much mana. We've got lots of things to reduce mana costs of abilities. So I say we go kind of into that. And then the same with Mishra's Self-Replicator, because it's another 5, but we can pay 1 to make copies of it. And these copies are just going to keep really, really flowing out so that we can have like a giant army of 2/2s that we can dump into. You said, what was the word?
Mechanized production.
Mechanized production. Okay, that's another copy one. And another, I like alternative win cons are nice too.
Yeah. So that might put a bit of a clock, but I mean, yeah, it's just copy the bobbleheads, copy any artifact you want. But you can there's also a replication specialist, which is a little expensive, 4 and a blue for a 3/4 flying Moonfolk Artificer. And whenever a non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay colorless and a blue. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that artifact. So I think that actually works quite well.
Yeah, I like that. Again, that's easy mana. How do we feel about a prototype portal where we can just make tokens of an artifact, like we can copy? Because again, if we get a bobblehead under the prototype portal, we can just spit them out every turn, right?
Oh man,
we can do that, and we might as well, like, if we're gonna do that, we might as well have things like Clock of Omens, but I would put that in a maybe.
Ooh.
Well, what about the Court of Vantress?
Court of Vantress, great idea. Because, yeah, that one copies artifacts, right? Where's the Court of Vantress? Let me read this.
Artifacts or enchantments, right?
Yeah, 2 double blue. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose up to 1 target enchantment or artifact. If you're the monarch, you create a token. If you're not the monarch, you can... So again, in a worst case scenario, this is going to function as another one of our cool artifacts that we want to put into the deck. And then in a best case scenario, it's going to keep making them. I like that one a lot. And it's also monarch.
Yeah, I just saw something and I remembered a game from a recent quick draft in Arena. There's this equipment in the Thunder Junction set that's a mythic, which I don't think many people have seen, but it's called Assimilation Aegis. It's a colorless, a white and a blue for an artifact equipment with equip 2. And when Assimilation Aegis enters the battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature until Assimilation Aegis leaves the battlefield. So your opponent's commander or just some problem creature. And then whenever Assimilation Aegis becomes attached to a creature, for as long as Assimilation Aegis remains attached to it, that creature becomes a copy of a creature card exiled with Assimilation Aegis. So I could see copies of that coming out and just removing your opponent's nice creatures, and then your generic or whatever artifact creatures just suddenly become your opponent's creatures. That could be quite a lot of fun, I imagine. Maybe not for your opponents, but and it's 3 mana, so it triggers the commander, which is also good.
That's not a bad one. I'm gonna maybe board that one because I feel like it's got a... Yeah, you know what? Let's leave it there for now. I like it for now. How about a Sculpting Steel?
Yep.
Sure.
And I suppose a Phyrexian Metamorph goes with that as well, right?
Phyrexian. The only problem is the Metamorph is a creature, so it's not going to trigger our commander.
Yes, you're right.
Creatures do we have right now? How much protection do we have from people bonking us? 1, 2,
But I think that the Metamorph, because it says enters the battlefield as a copy of any artifact, if you're copying a bobblehead, it's not going to be a creature.
True.
So I think it still works.
But it'll be a creature on cast because it's an enter, right?
Oh yeah. You're right.
But I was going to say, how do we feel about a Season of Weaving for that problem Sherman was just talking about right there? Season of Weaving, I love everything in the Bloomborough stuff. But it is 4 double blue. You choose 5 modes, 5 pause worth of modes. You may choose the same mode more than once. 1 is draw cards, so we have at our worst draw 5, not bad. Pay 2, choose an artifact you control, create a token that's a copy of it, which is going to be great everywhere. And then 3, we have an emergency eject, return each non-land, non-token permanent to its owner's hand, which we already want to do with our commander. Anyways, we want to get those cards back in our hand.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm fine with that.
I like it.
Do I put that in the bounce house?
Sure.
Because half the time that's what I'm going to do.
Reorganize things if need be.
Yeah.
Okay. We need more card draw. We have like none.
We do need card draw.
We've got Sig and we've got Adim.
So we might as well throw in Frantic Search and Unwinding Clock, because at least we can untap lands for those.
Unwinding Clock and Frantic Search, okay.
And they count as 3s, so that's fine.
Yep.
You know me, I like my pull from tomorrow. Especially if we have all this excess mana, might as well. You can throw in your Dictate of Crewfix. That's a 3 cost with Flash.
Dictate of Crewfix.
You like being group huggish.
I do like group hug. You are speaking my language here. I was gonna say we're not really running enough enchantments to justify like an Estrid's Invocation kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd stay away from enchantment things.
Yeah.
If you're gonna go enchantments, like I said, you're pretty much gonna try to go like more pill for it, because then you can throw in propaganda, ghostly prison, and things like that, sphere of safety and everything. So you're defending yourself yet draining everyone at the same time. They're gonna have a hard time attacking you.
How do we feel about this mean card that I like? This is I like this spike card, and I don't get to put it in a lot of decks because I don't build as much black as I should. But how do you guys feel about Hellish Rebuke? I don't know if you know this one. It is, where is it? It's 2 and a black. Till end of turn, permanents your opponent's control gain. When this permanent deals damage to the player who cast it, sack this permanent, you lose 2 life. So if they want to come at us with a bunch of creatures, even if they kill us, they're going to have to sack all of their things.
I could see this, and then like after declare attackers, and then it's like, uh-oh.
Yeah, I swing out to kill you. All right, well, good luck.
It's a nice interactive spell. I think that's okay, because we're definitely going to be a little bit ahead on the life. Because whenever you cast a non-creature spell, then we gain 2 life. So yeah, and it's more likely to work in this kind of a deck because you're making our opponents lose life with those same costs. So it's, yeah, I can see this working.
We also have a lot of life. So what would you guys feel about something like this Mnemonic Betrayal? It is 3 mana. Where is it here? 1/1 blue, 1 black. Exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards. You can cast those spells this turn. You can spend mana as though they were mana of any type to cast them. Beginning of the next end step, if those cards remain exiled, return them back. So just nice access to our graveyard. We're still going to trigger that life loss there.
I think I'd maybe board this. It is
maybe board, Kate?
Like €4 on my side here. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay throwing maybe board.
If you're willing to splash a little bit of the cash, then sure.
I do like...
how about what's that? Lithomancer's Lithoform Engine.
That's good because it gives us another copy as well.
Yeah, so the Lithoform Engine is 4 mana for legendary artifact. It's got 3 abilities. So pay 2, tap it, copy target activated or triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. So that works with our commander. 3, tap it, copy target instant or sorcery spell you control. You may choose new target for the copy, so that works with our card draw instance or interaction. And then 4, and tap it, copy target permanent spell you control. So again, like people need to remember that if the spell's on the stack already, it's not going to count as another cost. It's just going to give you another copy of that. Spell. So it's not really going to synergize all that much, but you're going to get the extra artifact. And if we're doing the bobble thing, then you get an extra bobblehead. So yeah, I think it's a bit of all rounder in this deck. So
I have another suggestion here. How do you guys feel about a Debt to the Deathless? Just as a nice way to use some of this mana in the late game here. This is X, double white, double black. Each opponent loses 2 times X life. We gain life equal to the loss this way.
Yeah, I think
beyond that, I'd rather run something like Exsanguinate, to be honest, if that's the case.
Exsanguinate? Each opponent loses X life.
That's going to be better.
Yeah. I mean, you can pay the X and then make a copy of it with the Lithoform Engine, so it doubles up. Yeah, that's pretty good.
True. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I'll change it out. So we lose Debt to the Deathless, Exsanguinate in. Okay.
I mean, there's no reason why you need to remove the other one. You can put it in the maybe board as well. What I like to do is have a minimum of 4 of a particular strategy just to make that more effective.
Yeah.
And the only downside to the Deathless is that it's a lot of mana, but I mean, we got a lot of bobbleheads that can make any mana. So with a bit of tapping and untapping shenanigans, I think, yeah, that can just win the game. Yeah.
How about instead of that route, I get us a Cloud Key. Cloud Key, It's 3 mana, so triggers our thing again. When it enters, choose artifact, creature, enchantment, instant, or sorcery spells you cast of the chosen type are 1 less.
Yeah, I would say we should have at least 4 of those sort of artifact cost reducers.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do that, we're going to dive into, like, throw that in, and then the rest of them are going to be creatures. That's probably our best bet. Because we have, for reducers, it's going to be things like Boundary Inspector, Ethereum Sculptor, and like Gyro's Familiar, maybe.
Foundry Inspector.
Like they're creatures, but we need some blockers from time to time, and we probably need some more card draw. We don't have much.
Let's actually pull over and see what we have for draw options. So Season of Weaving is one thing. Oh, what's the dragon? The dragon that lets us tap artifacts to draw.
Oh, Shimmer Dragon.
Shimmer Dragon, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's very annoying as well.
Yeah, 4 double blue. As long as you control 4 or more artifacts, it has hexproof. So by hexproof, tap 2 untapped artifacts you control, draw a card. I think that's going to work for us pretty good. So we want things that block. You're saying?
Well, like we barely have any creatures, and the creatures that we do have, we don't want to lose, and they're not really that strong. And like
do we want to be
like,
annoying?
We haven't reached. Sorry,
I was going to say, do we want to be annoying? Because there's a lot of things that punish other people for having creatures like that bounce things back.
We're going off tangent here. We're looking at card draw.
Okay, yes, card draw, yes.
So what cards do we have that does card draw? The main card draw or like incidental card draw, right?
Okay.
So
yes, let's look at artifact card draw.
Like our commander gives us card draw if we do
if they lose
someone
life,
loses at least 4 life. Okay. Paradoxical outcome lets us draw cards, but we have to return stuff. So I will count it incidental. So that's like 1 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Greed is something that we can do. So that's another one. Villas is another one. So that's like technically 3 and 1 partial.
And we have our dictative Krufix.
Aren't there like affinity or vehicles that when they ETB they draw cards? I think on the Aether there was a couple of vehicles that draw you cards.
They're not that great. Like you might as well go with Shorakai if that's the case.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, frantic search I don't really count as a draw because that's more of us looting, right?
It's kind of semi-draw, semi-looting. So it's like 3 and 2. Forensic Gadgeteer, same thing. Like you have to cast artifact spells to investigate. You have to spend mana to investigate. So like 3 and 3. Like this is literally how I count how much card draw I have. It's like how often does it occur every single time? Like something like Dictative Krufix or something like that, or is it incidental like or cantrippy like Frantic Search or Forensic Gadgeteer where you have to put more into it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
how about we put a few more mana rocks, the ones specifically like the locket types that you can pay and sack them or and draw a card.
Yeah.
And then we have something like Teshar where we can cast or get historic things from the graveyard. I think that will work, right?
But then you're diverging from the main strategy and you're wasting mana to draw cards that aren't efficient. So like I said, like things like Pull from Tomorrow is better than a Clue Stone, right? Because it's like saying like, you know, your command sphere is a card draw card. It's not. It's an emergency card draw. Same thing with the Clue Stones. It's not actual card draw, right? So if you put in something like Pull from Tomorrow, it's going to be better because you can scale it based on how much mana you have, right? And you don't have to worry about like if someone does a board wipe, you're losing it and you don't get the full value of the card draw from like a Clue Stone, right?
Well, I would say like the Teshar scenario. It really depends on how much stuff we can get into the graveyard, how diligent our opponents going to be, and are they going to like destroy our things because we're causing trouble, so they're going to try and wipe them out. The synergy there comes in that you still with Teshar have to cast something, and in addition to the trigger of Y'shtola, we also get to get something back from the graveyard. So if we have at least one of those artifacts, we're not going to be like necessarily doing a lot of them. Maybe you just got like 4 in the whole deck, and you just sacrifice that one and get it back with Teshar every time you cast a different artifact. That way, it's like a 2-for-1 every time you're doing something.
I get that, and I'm fine with adding Teshar, but I'm not fine with adding Teshar just for the sake of having things like Clue Stones in them in the deck, right? My goal is not to have people eliminate stuff. You know, like the situation you're looking at is like it's almost like the ceiling. Like, what if this? Like, I'm fine with Teshar being a what if someone destroys our artifact and we need to get them back from the grave. I'm totally fine with that. we might as well throw in Dance of Demands if we're gonna worry about that, right?
Yeah,
That's gonna
actually,
be better, and
I,
it's gonna
I
make
read
them
the
into
Teshar
creatures.
a little wrong here. It says target creature card, so it actually wouldn't work with the clue stone. So that's my
Right.
bad.
Let me look at our
But we
dance.
might as well throw in Dance of Demands.
Yeah,
Right?
that
So
could be
throw in
good.
Pull from Tomorrow for more card draw, throw in Dance of Demands to recur stuff back from the graveyard to the battlefield for us. Right? But we still need more card draw.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I prefer at this point in time like scalable card draw, like sort of like Pull from Tomorrow or like Mind Spring or Stroke of Genius or
Yeah, this
Yusan
as long
Zenith.
as it's instant speed, I would say yes to that. The sorcery ones, I don't think that's going to work well with, because like we want to be able to react to something, like use it because we need to refill our hand because somebody's done something. I imagine with this deck, with all these types of effects, with like lots of artifact, mana rocks, that kind of thing, and cost reducers, we're going to play out our hand very quickly.
Really quickly, as much as this pains me to say, I found something from Aether Drift that seems to not suck. So let's look at an Aether Siphon here, okay? I think this is solving a lot of problems. This is a 3-mana artifact. It's 1 double blue. It has a Start Your Engines, which we actually can trigger pretty easy with this life loss, right?
Yes.
It has pay 2, draw a card, so it's giving us repeatable card draw that's sitting there. And then it has max speed. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent mills 2 cards. So I think it does a lot of the slots, but I like having a draw that we can. Having a mana sink is nice. We've got a lot of things that we can put our mana into, that we can do it. The big X spells are nice. Like a Pull from Tomorrow is great, but I like just abilities that are going to give us a little bit of card draw while also triggering this commander kind of thing, right? Because a lot of times we're going to have a lot of mana that just sits there.
Yeah, I'm fine with throwing that in. You might as well throw in Teferi's Aegis Insight at this point in time, and like Alhammer's Archive. Like, every time we draw a card,
that would be fantastic. That synergizes perfectly with your Stola.
Alhammer's Archive, so expensive.
And with the Archive, if we gain life somehow, we gain an extra life.
Doubles card draw, doubles life gain. Yeah, should do it.
Pretty good.
I noticed Barrel's Expertise. It does our bounce strategy, but it also gives us a free cast. So Barrel's Expertise is 3 and 2 blue. Return up to 3 target artifacts and or creatures to their owner's hands. It's sorcery speed, so it's not a reactive thing, unfortunately, but you may cast a spell with mana value 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. And I imagine in this deck, that's going to be a lot of
nearly everything.
We're going to have a lot of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I like that because, again, it does. We can bring our things back to get more casts. It's giving us our immediate 2 casts to drain people.
Yeah, any more card draw?
We always need more card draw. Card draw is king.
Sure thing, Josh.
Like, what
He does. I haven't watched Command Zone in a long time. Is that what he's always saying right now?
There's a ad segment, I think, where he was trying to convince everyone that he's a green mage, and they're like, "No, you're a blue mage." He loves card draw.
I'm looking at like kind of these older, janky artifacts, like some of these things that are just like a bargaining table. You pay X, draw a card, X the number of cards in an opponent's hand.
Well, I say we throw in 2 more card draw cards.
Things that are actually good ones.
Looking at stuff like that. Sorry?
Like things that are actually good card draw things?
Yeah, because like we're reaching the top of the deck size, and we haven't even put in any real interaction. It's me. I'm gonna throw in interaction.
How do you? I know you like old nonsense, Sherman. How do you feel about this? A Book of Wrath. This is a 6-mana artifact. You pay 2. You pay 2 life. You draw a card. So for us, this is pay 4, draw 3, instant speed card draw, and it's going to trigger that life loss thing, and we're gaining life passively. So that paying that 2 life is not bad. I think pay 4, draw 3 is good
I like it except for the fact that it's a 6 cost because our um our curve right now is pretty high. Plus, a lot of our abilities are activated abilities that require a lot of mana. We have like couple spells that reduce the activated ability cost, but still, it's a lot of mana that we're pumping in. So we're already not running efficiently. So it's better not to do that. You're better off throwing something like Horn of Greed in.
Well, 1 second. I'm just looking at this.
Granted, everyone benefits, but like you're better off with something like that, or you're better off with like Tamio's like dictionary or scrolls or where it's like cost 6, but it's reduced for every single artifact you control down to like 1 blue, so you can tap to like draw a card or something like that, right?
It's not bad. We do have 13 rocks, which is like over 10% of our deck is rocks, and 13, 14 with Cloud Key. Like we have a lot of reduction. Like I don't think mana is going to actually be the big problem we think it is.
Can I recommend one last rock then? If we're not going to go with like the Clue Stone or Lockets, that kind of thing, maybe we want a Bandit's Hall in there. Because the Bandit's Hall reacts to us doing damage to our opponents or making them lose life or committing crimes. What's that? Targeting opponents, anything they control, and their graveyards. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, because we're not targeting really.
Yeah. But I mean, if we have enough targeted abilities, that could do something because it gets those counters on there, and then you can remove that to draw cards.
I actually I don't mind throwing in like the lockets. Like are the lockets 3 mana?
Yeah,
they're all 3 mana. But once again, like you're pushing the usage of your mana curve like higher. So right now, like our mana curve is like maybe at 3.5 or something like that. Or what was it sitting at? 3.53. Okay, that's not including all the activated abilities that we're doing. Sure, we have cost reducers, but those cost reducers are really there to help us to get more things out and then to use that mana to draw into cards to cast more things, right? And in emergencies, we still have the mana to bounce all of our stuff back to our hand. So, like, to run this efficiently, we can't have more things that cost mana for activated abilities. We're just going to be stretched too thin. So that's one reason why I don't like the Book of Wrath. It's like a high cost, like it's a good mana sink, but at the same time, like it's gonna hurt in the end.
Well, like I said, I look at it as pay 4 to draw 3 cards is pretty decent. Like that's a pretty decent stacked ability there.
Pay 4 to draw 3 cards? How?
You pay 2 life, so 2 colorless, pay 2 life. So we trigger our commander's ability every time we use this. So on any turn we can also any turn we can pay 4 mana, and we're drawing 3 cards at that 4 mana. That's why I like this ability so much. And if we have anything that go ahead.
I get it, but it's still a 6 cost, and like our mana curve is getting high, and we're not including the activated abilities. So even though it's a 3.5, with including our activated abilities for use and everything, our mana curve is more like a 4.5 to a 5.
Yeah, but I mean,
it's just not just the spells you're casting; it's including the activated abilities, right?
Okay,
so you're trying to do everything most
to solve the mana curve problem. We want to do things like Wayfarer's Bauble or like these 1 to 2 mana type signets, just to get us into the 3 mana rocks. But remember, this curve is going to be steep. Our mana ramp curve is going to be very steep. It's not going to be a slow, gradual increase like a typical build. We've got cost reducers, and we've got a lot of 3 mana rocks that when they're down, they're all going to start producing additional mana every single turn potentially. And if we've got untapped stuff, then it gets even more that we can do. So what's going to likely happen is our 1, 2, 3 turns are going to be where we need to make sure we have a good starting hand so that we can get into the 3 mana value. And then after that, we just explode. everybody else is going to be behind because, and evidence of this, if you watch the latest, well, one of the more recent Command Zone videos where Josh keeps a one-hander, right? And he's like, well, I kept one land hand, and it goes from there into like a Soul Ring, into a copy of the Soul Ring, into Thran Dynamo, into I play all my artifacts.
Because like that,
and it's insane. It can operate like that. But you're right. We definitely need to have a couple of those early plays just to get that initial kick, and then after that, I don't think we'll have mana problems at all.
Because I was gonna say, like, I have built a lot of decks that are this, like I have a Toxrill Rocks deck, and it's just mana rocks and Toxrill, and it really does get out of control if you have any kind of a draw thing. So like maybe we look at some of the, like I know you're worried about the cost and stuff, but like why don't we look at something like a Midnight Clock? It's like maybe we should get a few lower value, like, but Midnight Clock is kind of still solving our draw problem, which is what I like. It's 2 and a blue, taps for a blue, put an hour counter on it. At the beginning of each upkeep, you put an hour counter on it. When the 12 hours hits, you shuffle, you draw 7. Not horrible early and stuff, but maybe we do need more early explosion in the smaller rocks. I just, like I said, I like these I like these 3 theme, right?
I like the 3 theme, but like at the same time, like you guys are looking at the ceiling of everything. You know me, I like looking at the floor. What's the worst case scenario, right? Worst case scenario is, yes, we have all this mana to use for things, but we also need the mana for like to answer things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and we need it for protection. So we have some protection, but a lot of our protection is instant speed stuff where we need to have mana up to protect our stuff, like, or recall it back to our hand, right? And once it's recalled back to our hand, we have to recast everything. Sure, we have the cost reduction, but in the end, we're going to run out unless we have more cost reductions. We only have really one cost reduction. That's Cloud Keep. We don't have Ethereum Sculptor. We don't have, like, we haven't added that stuff in.
Yeah,
yet, right?
I put that stuff in.
Yeah, he put it in.
Foundry Inspector's in there.
And everything else.
Yeah, so I have Foundry Inspector. I have that one, and then I thought I had another one that was a cost reducer.
Ethereum Sculptor is going to be a 1 in a blue. I don't see it.
I don't think I might have missed Ethereum Sculptor. Ethereum Sculptor is a great one. No, I missed Ethereum Sculptor.
Oh, okay.
Artifact spell, so that's another cost reductor and a body.
How about Mind Stone? Because that can convert to draw as well, and it's 2 mana.
If we're gonna go, so like, how can I explain this? Because you guys know me. I love playing artifacts. I go down this route often, right? If you're gonna do the bounce thing when you're returning things to your hand, you have to have a lot of reducers. So we want, like, we'll throw in like a Gyro's Familiar and everything, and then hopefully turn through your deck as fast as you can. So we need, like, you're not looking at like 8 card draw cards or 10, or
one solution to the problem you're saying here around the. Okay, because this is not an early game problem. This is a mid to late game problem. It's very unlikely that we're going to be in our ramp phase, and then we're going to want to bounce all our stuff back to our hand. Nobody's going to be able to do that. You can bounce maybe one thing back to your hand. Realistically, this is at the point where it's mid game. We're probably going to have about 5 mana available and beyond from that point.
Mm-hmm.
We can try and get to this by turn 3, probably, if we've got the signets and stuff. Mindstone will help us there, get to that point a bit quicker. But you also want then land ramp, because what that is it's going to ensure that, okay, fine, we're sacrificing the Wayfarer's Bauble, but we're getting a land, which when we bounce, the land stays in play, right? So we want to maybe have a couple items that are cheap that are going to get us our land drops. Inevitably, we might miss one. So if we have some way to fix that problem for cheap, then that will work quite well. I think a Fountain Port Bell could help with fixing as well. Yes, it puts the land, is it in our hand or on the top of your library, whatever, but it still gets you your land, and then you can at least match your lands with your artifact place. Then when we do the bounce thing, we will have at least enough lands out to play enough of the other things to get the cost reducers in, because you'll generally play those first. And then that will just cascade into playing all the other artifacts. And we'll be able to probably get moving from there quite quickly.
If you want to go that way, then...
No, go ahead.
So if you want to go that way, you have to like things like Wafer Bauble. You have like Burnished Heart. Sure, it's cost free to bring out more stuff, but at least it's 2 lands.
Yeah.
There's even,
and you can make copies of those as well with the other copier spells. So then it just gets us a lot of advantage. So yeah, I would say let's go for those land related ones, like at least 4 of them, and then I think that will to an extent help balance things out.
So mostly what you guys are both saying right now, problem wise, is just our early game. We need our early game to do something a little better than what we're getting right now. Yeah,
I would say so.
Okay.
Because I would say mid to late, the deck's gonna explode for most iterations that we play. So we could also consider things.
We're going to cut stuff. We still have no interaction.
That's not a problem for me.
Look, Sherman, this is a player removal interaction.
We do have to remember that if we have a lot of mana stacked up. Oh, obviously, sorry. Now that I'm thinking about this, a lot of mana stacked up. We need a Blink Moth Urn in this deck. There's no way to not run. There's no way to not run that. 5 mana at the beginning of each player's pre-combat. They get, if it's untapped, that player gets 1 colorless for each artifact they control. That is going to solve a lot of this activated ability problem right there.
Yep.
That is solid ramp if I've ever seen it. All right, now we're back to the early game ramp, but I do have to say that one. I see what you're saying about the not having interaction stuff.
Can we at least throw in like a generous gift so we can get rid of stuff or disenchant?
Yeah, let's aim to add 4 interactive items that can be just instants and do some stuff. What I like to do in decks like this. What I like to do in decks like this, where we're so heavily focused on other things, it feels bad to just do like a 1-for-1 trade. So I would recommend we look at items that are repeatable removal. There's one that I absolutely love to put into these kinds of decks. It's I think it's like Ethereum Adjudicator, some flying thing that's like Esper colors, but you can use it over and over to do removal. I've got a mythic here. I'm just gonna pull my box out because I can't remember what it's called.
You've got it somewhere, Kate.
So yeah, just give me a moment. But just think of stuff that's repeatable. Maybe it's like a Royal Assassin or something that can just repeatedly destroy. There was already that equipment that make a copy of, and then it removes something, that kind of stuff. Just think of something like that.
Okay, well, Sherman mentioned the generous gifts.
We have a lot of removals, so it's like, take your pick, right? So
I will give us generous gifts as one of the better removal pieces. Do we want to add really quickly into... Oh, sorry, I put 2 things into the sideboard that I didn't read, so while he looks there, I put a Scrawling Crawler in. It's 3 mana for a 3/2. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Whenever an opponent draws a card, that player loses a life. I put that into the just the sideboard because it makes it kind of easier for us to hit that they lose 4 life trigger pretty easy. So we can maybe put that one in, but it's a sideboard right now. And then the other one is from 40k. It's the Sicarian Infiltrator. It's 2 and a blue, has flash, it has squad 2. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. So it's solving a little bit of our problem. It's a great mana sink for late game. It's a draw engine. It's got flash, and it's 3, but it won't actually trigger the commander because it's a creature. But it is, again, it's a card draw, it's a creature, it's a mana sink. So again, I just have that over in the maybe board for now. If you want to go into the more mana sinky routes, then
Yeah, what's the white squad one that destroys enchantment stuff? It's also one of these Warhammer options.
Let me look. I will pull up squad.
I don't know. I missed the Warhammer stuff, so I'm still sad about it.
Space Marine Devastator.
Marine.
Destroy one target artifact or enchantment. It's a mana dump. It's just a creature, really. 3 and a white for a Astartes Warrior. That's a 3/3 squad 2. So when you cast it, you can additionally cast 2 colorless as many times as you want, and then it'll just make a copy of itself on the stack, and then you end up with like 3 or 4 of these, and then blow up a bunch of your opponent's artifacts and enchantments.
I like that.
Yeah, and then there's Ethersworn Adjudicator, which is the one I was searching for. 4 and blue for a 4/4 flying artifact creature, Vodelka Knight. Won't trigger our commander, but it's still a 4/4 flyer, so it saves us in the air, which is good. But you can pay 1, a white, and a black to tap it to destroy target creature or enchantment, and you can pay 2 and a blue to untap the Adjudicator. So this is repeatable removal.
Yeah.
If you've got anything that untaps your artifacts, like in your opponent's turns or whatever, then you can just keep using this thing and repeatedly blow out whatever creatures or enchantments that are causing issues.
But still, repeatable removal is nice. I like that. I have I did put a generous gifts in here. Is there, what else do we have that could be repeatable removal? Because I understand. I don't like to put interaction in decks, but I get it.
What was oh shoot, let me look it up here. Give me a second.
Maybe we just put a Spine of Ishtar that removes permanents, and it's not a creature.
Like, I'm fine with throwing in things like Royal Assassin.
Royal Assassin, I thought was a good suggestion. I should have put that one.
Spine. Sorry, my German is messing with my mouth. Spine of Ishtar.
I don't think that one's repeatable enough because we don't have a sacrifice outlet.
Well, what it does here is when Spine of Ishtar enters the battlefield, destroy target permanent, which is nice. We can make copies of this, right? So we got a bit of a copy strategy going. At worst, it just removes one thing. Yes, it's 7 mana, but we got a ton of mana generation, bobbleheads and things. And when it's put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to your hand, then you can cast it again. So if we do have means to sacrifice it, which I don't think we have really, but maybe what's the I would just go with one of the copiers. Like it kind of becomes a bit of a board wipe, and it gives us the opportunity to take out some non-basic lands if we don't want to be too mean. There are like problem lands. That's something we might have an issue with. So I think it's versatility, and because it's a higher cost, I think that's one of it's a maybe board. Not everybody's going to want to play that, but I like it because it'll trigger our commander. So that gives us some synergy. We've got a lot of ways to make it cheaper or to get it out earlier. And if we bounce it to our hand, then we can use it again because we've got the bounce strategy.
That's true. Right? We do have a lot of bounce strategy. I threw up maybe board there. I also over into maybe board. Really quickly, what do you guys feel about this one? Devout Witness is a 2 and a white. It's a 2/2 human spell shaper. 1 and a white, discard a card, destroy target artifact or enchantment.
That sounds good.
I'll leave it there for now. You don't like all these activated abilities, hey Sherman?
Sorry?
So you don't like all these activated abilities.
I don't mind them. It's just like because a lot. It's fun. Like it's funny, but like it does require a lot of mana. It's like it right now it feels inefficient. Look, I like efficiency.
We have copy effects to make copies of our mana rocks, and there's a ton of mana rocks here. So I think that this is going to be something that when it's played, then it'll become obvious that we actually have more than enough mana.
I think we're going to have a lot of mana, especially if we add any more. Like, I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised how much we have.
Yeah, the other thing to point out is look at all the colorless items that we got floating around. There's going to be like a quarter of the deck, right? So what that means is that our fixing isn't really going to, like, yes, we're going to have good lands to do fixing, but I think that it will be a very playable deck with any lands that we get. So that will raise the effectiveness of the deck. And if we want to go with the, well, maybe we just play more lands then. We could do something like that and just go like 38 lands, or in the Command Zone, they had another episode where they're reworking their template and they're like, yeah, you should play over 40 lands. Like, who's going to do that? Seriously? Like 38 is probably the maximum I'd go.
That's how you know a skinwalker's taken over my body.
Yeah. Okay. Can we throw, if we're making copies of artifacts, we might as well throw in Noxious Gearhulk so we can at least gain some life at the same time if we're losing life.
Noxious Gearhulk. That's the black one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You may destroy another target creature. Yeah, it's also a good piece of removal to come in.
You know what? We're idiots here. We haven't thrown in Alila yet, Artful Provocator.
Oh, yeah.
With all these artifacts, like it's just a bonus once again for flyers.
Well, and it's also potentially
that can go in a baby.
Remember, our copy strategy is copying artifacts.
True.
And Alila is kind of like, yeah, it'll get us some little flyer blockers, and she's got Death Touch, so she can act as removal in air, which is nice, and a bit of life gain. So she's useful, but she's a fairy generator at her core, really. Yes, she's synergistic in the deck, but she has 3 different colors of mana. Maybe that's fine.
I'm gonna add really quickly. Sorry to interrupt you. I just found this one again. I'm gonna add a Machine God's Effigy. This is a 4-mana artifact. We can have it enter as a copy of any artifact on the battlefield, except it's any creature, except it's an artifact, and it has tap for blue. So this is a rock. This is take someone's cool commander. This is a get another Noxious Gearhulk, get another Joyra's Familiar, kind of any of those things. I think again, it's going to trigger. It's a mana rock. It's going to give us. I would probably be aiming this at our reducers so that we have further of them. But again, it's still if somebody has just something cool on the other field.
Yeah, I mean that's why any kind of comes in as a copy of, I would think, should have the option to not be a creature. But yeah, I don't know.
Do we want to put in this Mendicant as well? If we're because again, just talking copies and stuff, the start your engines mechanic actually isn't horrendous in this, right? And Mendicant's power Mendicant's power is equal to the number of artifacts we control. And then whenever we cast an artifact, you can pay 1 if you do copy it. Paying 1 to copy a Noxious Gearhulk is a pretty...
Yeah, the Mendicant is very good, yeah. Even in the drift drafts, it's like you gotta have that. Yeah, Mendicant, I think the Mendicant, like, I'm still thinking, like, Alela is like if you like Alela, put Alela in. And there's more Alelas now, so...
I threw Alela inside one. We're already at 100, but there's some stuff.
100 cards, so we're
I was going to say there's going to be some stuff we have to cut though. Like we're
also at $200.
But that's what I mean, right? We still haven't cut anything. We still haven't like there's going to be some things that we do end up moving around because where's our draw section's not actually done here. Ramp, Spellskite, removal. Maybe I'm looking at this flash section. Maybe we take this flash section down a little bit.
We only really need 4 flash givers.
Let's move Gandalf out for now.
Well, the thing with Gandalf is he gives extra triggers when artifacts enter. Is there anything that is gonna...
I don't think we have many ETB artifacts though.
No, not really. Everything is a cast trigger. There's not ETB.
Okay.
Yeah. So like that, and I think we move Heliod. We
might have like 2 or 3, but that's about it.
Yeah, the Heliod's cool, but again, it's a lot to get over to the Heliod, and we're not really moving that.
Yeah, I would also question Villas at this point because he's very expensive. Yes, he gives us a lot of potential value, but he's also expensive monetarily. So
what if we
can drop our cost a little and our mana curve by replacing him with something a bit more effective.
Yeah, because Villas is good. We're not 2 damage to each opponent. Yeah, so we're not even really triggering it ourselves. We can pay some. I say we slim some of these sections down, and then we put some of that actual early ramp and some of that interaction and removal, right? I realize not everybody likes to play with 0 interaction and all gasoline, all artifacts, all day. Spell's Guide, I think, protects really well.
Yep.
Training Ground is only of creatures, so let's lose Training Ground. I wish we could put Zerda in this deck. Let's which do we want to lose the ley line? No, the ley line's kind of nice. Let's lose.
Do we want to keep the Unwinding Clock or not? Just because we don't really have like our bobbleheads are mainly sorcery speeds, right?
But we have a ton. We do have a lot of activateds, right? We have 1, 2, 3. That's a mana ability. 4, 5, 13, 12. Oh, sorry, 12. I guess we only have 12. That's still 10% of the deck, though. Royal Unwinding Clock's only artifacts, so Royal Assassin doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I don't think we need the Unwinding Clock, to be honest, unless we want to keep it up for like instant speed stuff.
Nah, I agree with you. Let's kill Unwinding Clock. So
where we're at? We're at 95. So let's start re-adding stuff and then go from there and see how we feel.
Yeah,
because we still haven't really edited the lands yet. We're at 33 lands, and it's just like you have like 11 islands, plains, and swamps.
Yeah, I have just basic lands in.
Yeah, we have no Reliquary Tower, we have no Field of Ruin, we have no Scavenging Ground.
Oh yeah, we'll fix that one after all of that stuff. But I'm just trying to think.
I didn't see a Wayfarer's Bauble.
Oh yeah, no. Let's put our mana fix. So Wayfarers, Traveler's Amulet, maybe.
There's Burnished Heart as well.
Let's check Burnished, because it's a creature, right? Yeah, 3 mana, 2/2.
Yeah,
but it gets you the 2 lands plus if you copies of that,
and it's an early body. Yeah.
And with an Academy Ruins, then those become a lot more effective.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to put a Soul Ring in the deck? I feel like we should, right?
Yeah,
might as well. Like we have so many artifacts that are colorless and whatnot,
and obviously Arcane Signet. Then
yeah, because we've got a 3-color commander. Arcane Signet, I can't spell, but it'll figure it out.
It doesn't always. Architect people improve your search.
Yeah, right.
I need it to be snappy, like Moxfield.
What do you guys feel about Karn, Scion of Urza, for a Planeswalker?
Let me check this out. Where's our Karn?
Because we have so many artifacts, right? And it makes a construct. I don't like. It's
yeah.
It's nice that you can get an extra card into your hand, but I'm more like liking the fact of the construct instead.
Okay, well, I would speak against Karn this specific Karn, just because firstly it's a 4 mana option here.
Yeah.
And I mean, Planeswalkers in general are quite powerful, especially the ones that give you some kind of advantage. But I just feel like if you're introducing constructs, then there's like 10 other construct cards you really want to synergize in these colors. So you could definitely go a construct route. I mean, there's a lot of these very broken ones from the last year's standard that just in standard they're just broken. Suddenly your opponent's got like 3 or 4 10 11 artifact creatures. That's not really synergizing with our commander. Let's be honest. So yeah, it's just good stuff. Constructs. I would say we leave that out.
How do we feel about Ugin? Ugin's expensive, 6 mana, but Ugin is colorless spells are 2 less.
And ramp. Yeah, I like Ugin.
And it's a removal, yeah.
Ugin's fun.
Okay. Yeah. Let me put Ugin into reduction.
Okay, where are we at now? We're 101, so we got to remove.
If they don't want me to play 102 cards, they shouldn't give me 102 sleeves. That's all I'm saying. Let's move. You guys let me know if there's something you want to remove here. I'm just quickly moving some of these to where they should be. So that's reduction. Reduction.
That's the most expensive stuff. I mean, we've definitely dropped the curve a bit.
Okay.
What are we down to? 3.4.
I say we drop the greed. Greed's a cool card, but it's or do we want to move greed over into draw and have it just sitting there just in case? Because again, greed is also pay 2 mana, draw 3 cards for us.
Yeah, I think I'm okay with greed in any deck where the commander gains your life.
Yep. Okay, greed to draw.
And it comes into play at the right moment, but our commander will also draw us cards, so there's that as well.
And it's a mana sink.
Well, I was going to say too, it's just like the Book of, because I still have Book of Wrath in there because I really like that card. But it's just like Book of Wrath where it's going to be Book of Wrath is pay 4, draw 3. This is going to be pay 2 black, draw 3 for us, right? On anyone's turn, which is going to be pay 2 black, draw 3 cards is really going to fill our hand up pretty fast.
We just need to cut 1 card for now. Let's see.
Maybe because there's only 1. I mean, how many of our recursion type cards do we have? I don't think we've got very many. And if we were going to be serious about recursion, we'd put like at least 4 cards or so for that. Maybe we take the recursion strategy out and we rely purely on just going into the deck to get stuff rather than caring about what's in our graveyard.
You mean with Dance the Mance? Dance the Mance, though, can be a finisher, right? Because they become 4/4s, and our rocks being 4/4s is pretty good late game if we need.
But it only works on the stuff that you return. So those things that you return would have summoning sickness, right?
Okay, yeah. So we still have to get it through another turn of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got that one moved over. This is going to be our copy strategy.
Okay, so we're
at 100, so that's good. Right?
Yeah, $164, which isn't bad at all.
We've got to add some lands still, sure, but still 160 is pretty okay for the moment. Tokens.
Okay, let's edit the lands here then.
Yeah, I'll let you guys edit lands while I reorganize. So you guys put whatever you want for land-based things in here.
Okay, Sherman, do you want to add? I don't want to be adding at the same time. So definitely Academy Ruins, without a doubt.
How much is Academy Ruins now?
It should be cheaper. I've reprinted it. Oh, actually. Well, the Drift Commander is cheaper. Yeah, it is. I mean, technically cheaper. So I guess, Arcane Sanctum. Exotic Orchard.
Okay, so I've added in.
I'm not enough of a fan of this Assimilation Aegis to keep it, I think.
What does it do again?
It's when it enters, it exiles a creature until it leaves. And then when it becomes attached to a creature for as long as it remains attached. But I don't know. I just feel like it is a lot of hoops to jump through to use this one. I think we can add another removal piece. Like I would rather move this Devout Witness in where I can discard a card, destroy target artifact or enchantment. We've got a lot of draw things our commander's drawing. I'd rather that piece of removal.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
I agree with that. That's fine.
Okay. So I'll move Devout Witness over to removal there. That gives us a 4 piece of removal there at least.
Bant Panama. What? No, not Bant. One of the panoramas, right? Esper Panorama.
Oh yeah, that's the one that gets all of it.
You can produce colorless mana or fetch a island, swamp, or plains.
Okay.
There's also the other newish type land. I can't remember what it's called, but it's in that same vein here somewhere.
Our creature is ramp. I've almost got these over into the categories they should be. It's looking a little more organized now. Shimmer is hard draw. I also always forget that Sai draws cards too.
Yeah, if you tap 2 and sack an artifact.
Yeah, Sai's pretty cool. Draw.
Contaminated Landscape, that's it.
What's that one do?
What do you need? What do you want
it's similar to the Panorama,
okay.
But it also has cycling. And there's a whole cycle that came in Modern Horizons 3 or whatever, and I just grabbed a whole bunch of them because they just, well, do you want to cycle the land and draw a card, or do you want to use it for mana, or do you want to use it to fix? It's just so versatile, so why not?
I like this. And then reduction. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit better when we actually see what the categories are. Finisher,
Hey!
barrels.
All right, so I threw in a few lands here. Oh, I should throw this one in as well. Hang on, I'm almost done the lands, or for the most part, I'm almost done the lands. How much black? That's doesn't matter.
Should I add those other two that I suggested, the sack fetch ones?
If you want, go nuts.
Horn of.
Okay.
I'm just putting Horn of Gondor over into the maybe board.
My goodness. So overall, let's see here. So we have the 7 bobbleheads. We have, let's see here. We have man, you reorganized a lot.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, we have Arcane Signet, we have Burnished Heartdew, Command Sphere, Decanter, the 1, 2, 3, 4, Soul Ring, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got like 15 mana rocks pretty much, or like mana acceleration.
And then six reducers.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna drop the island count 1 and swamp count 1.
8 card draws that are just raw card draw, not including the commander. And then we have other things that passively do them.
Okay, I'm a little bit more happy about that then.
Yeah. That's good to organize by strategy. But there's also, I think, a lot of good synergy here. And we've got crazy generators, because anything that lets us just make copies of our artifacts is just going to go crazy. And being able to play in our opponent's turn as well, that really gets us a lot.
Do we want to...
I just want...
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, do we want to abandon this Spellskite and Padim and just put 2 more raw draw cards in there?
That's...
I like the protection that Padim gives, that hexproof.
That's fair.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. We leave Padim.
Yeah, I think these two, like, this is that scenario of how effective is this strategy? How effective is our protection? We only got 2 cards here. What's the likelihood we're going to draw those? If we want to make it more effective, we want to try and get a couple more items of that and take from somewhere else. But again, it's one of those things like the deck is going to need to have a feel first. We got to try it out a bit and see how it plays. And that will give us a better indicator then of what to do with those strategies. Like, if we do happen to draw into the protection, does it help us as much as we think it's going to help us? Or is it already too late for most of our opponents? Like, we already played the artifacts. If they destroy it, it doesn't matter because we're just going to play another one anyway. So they're going to try and stop us a different way. So maybe the hexproof doesn't benefit us. So I think we'll have to play to determine that.
There was one, I was looking for some draw stuff. And there was one that I found that I just want to find a spot for this. It's a Crushing Disappointment. So it's 3 and a black, which is going to trigger the commander. Each player loses 2 life. You draw 2 cards. So this is for us 3 and a black, draw 3 cards. Each player loses 4 life, essentially, the way we're casting it.
Yeah, that's one of the new cards, isn't it?
Strixhaven.
There's actually a similar one in the latest set.
Another similar kind of thing?
Or unless it's a reprint, let me just check. No, it's got to be.
If you're gonna have that, then we might as well. Like, I'm leaning towards something like Boral's Expertise at this point in time.
For a remove?
Yeah, because it's a 5 cost. Like, sure, we can cast something else for free, but like, if we have a lot of mana, it shouldn't really matter about casting something for free.
But it can also...
have the card draw.
Barals also can function as a piece of removal for us for 3 pieces of, like, annoying creatures or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not permanent like proper
not full
get
removal,
gone, but it can help us tempo our opponent. Sure. So the card is called Risky Shortcut, Daniel. It's 2 and a black. It's a sorcery though. Draw 2 cards. Each player loses 2 life.
Draw 2 cards. Each player.
Yeah, that one's way better.
This is so.
Actually,
yeah, like because again, I'd like to keep that there because again, this is also for us. This is draw 3 at 3, and that's great because it's triggering the commander, it's triggering us, and it's a 6 life loss. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see that working, but the only downside is the sorcery. Why is it red?
Oh. I like Risky Shortcut. I'm more than willing to put in Risky Shortcut and Crushing Disappointment into the deck.
Okay. So we've got. I
wouldn't mind putting both of those in.
Yeah, I really like those, and those really flush us out for draw. They function great with the commander, and we're not actually even going to really like lose life because we're gonna get the life gain. So for us, it's all upsides for those, right? So we've just got to move 2 things out.
So would you have Frantic Search or Risky Shortcut?
Frantic Search is essentially free for us, which is nice.
Yeah.
Where is Frantic Search?
How about...
It's under Instance.
I haven't organized that one yet.
Huh.
Where is Instant even? Okay. Hellish Rebuke. We could move Hellish Rebuke out. Hellish Rebuke I just like as a funny card to end, like to if someone's trying to kill me, but it doesn't really, comparative to those 2 cards, it's not at that level, right?
Yeah, it's not guaranteed gonna synergize with the commander. I mean, your opponent can do some funny.
Yeah, Hellish Rebuke's a pet card to me. So we remove Hellish Rebuke. Now we got to get 1 card. I'll move Frantic Search over into draw.
Let's go with. Let's see here. You just need 1 card removed.
Again, I can move this Book of Wrath over into the maybe board. I personally really love it. I think it's fun. I love cards I don't see very often.
The downside of Frantic Search is it discards 2, right?
Yeah.
So there is a spell that we won't have to discard, but I think we still have to pay the mana. Yeah. I mean, I just don't know because we don't have a recursion strategy.
I don't mind discarding, to be honest. Like I just pretend that it's in the rest of the library that I've never really see.
Honestly, we have a lot of draw options, right? So a lot of times we are going to have lands that we can just toss.
Okay.
I don't mind. I don't mind that one. It's a free cast of it. It helps us maybe dig for an answer. Like I think that one's okay.
Okay.
But I just
Okay. How about this? We have 5 flash cards. Why don't we remove one flash ones?
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that fits with my 8x8 EDH thinking. So if it's like 1 more than a multiple of 4, then I can just drop down to 4 and then we're good.
So I say it's one of our 4 costs. Leyline, Wrath, or Renari. Renari's dragons and artifacts. Wrath is historics.
Yeah.
Well, Wrath gives our commander flash.
Yes.
And anything else that's legendary, right? Well, Leyline says for all spells.
Yeah, Leyline's also its king.
Oh, yeah, and Shimmermere is a 3 cost compared to a 4 cost.
Yeah, so I think we take Renari.
And that's flash itself. Yeah.
All right, I like that. And we're sitting at a pretty normal. What is my errors? Oh, card's technically not legal. Yes, it is. Everything's technically legal.
You leave our commander alone.
A few months later.
Again, I don't think we have any extremely lacking categories.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting deck.
Yeah, I think this will be an interesting deck. I would play this just to try to win with the Luck Bobblehead, to be honest.
That's the whole reason I want to play it is the Luck Bobblehead. I wanna roll.
Hold on. Did we
roll like 30
maybe I didn't mention it. It's a tutor, a Moonsilver Key. I forgot about that.
That's an artifact with a mana ability?
It's two mana artifact, if I remember correctly, and its ability, basically you pay 1 and you can tutor either a basic land or a mana artifact.
Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, because you can get your bobblehead specifically.
We do that. If that's the case, we might as well replace one of these planes with a Inventor's Fair. Give me a second here.
I'm gonna move for that where's that amulet? I'm gonna move either a bauble or Traveler's Amulet.
Move a Traveler's Amulet.
Yeah, I think
that one goes to your hand. Bauble at least goes to the field, right?
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, because
I think we keep it at that.
Yeah, bauble is actually ramp.
Yeah. Oh, Traveler's Amulet, like I said, it just goes in your hand.
I like this land section you put in here.
It's versatile.
Yeah, what I like to do in my architect land sections is actually break it up by land strategies as well. And I have things like ramp lands, and I'll put the bounce lands in there usually. It's not technically ramp because it's setting you back, but it gives you an additional land play. And to me, in the long term, that's just better. So anything that can make treasures or whatever, like I'll have a separate strategy for those kinds of lands. And then I'll have like a utility lands, which is just stuff like recover stuff from the graveyard or pump my creatures or whatever. Yeah. And then I've got fixing or sacrifice. It just makes it a bit easier to organize the land strategies, because at this, like for most people, they might just be like, it's just mostly fixing. So then it doesn't really matter. But if you're using your land strategically, then it won't start to matter. So
I think
you can split lands up as well.
I think I'm going to take one island down, Sherman, and give one more plains. 2 plains is pretty light.
Yeah.
I know we don't really have white in the deck, and we have so much color fix, but it feels a little light.
What I typically do here is I actually just go like split the lands evenly, because then it's an even probability of an island or a plains or a swamp.
But I think we're mostly blue. We've got I'm seeing a lot of blue pips here.
But we also have baubles, which make any color mana. So I think, like, I've never really had a problem with this. When I split it just evenly like that, if you're leaning into a particular color because there's a mana-related reason, like for example, I need forest specifically to play Kodama's Reach or Cultivate, then I will increase the amount of forests for that reason, because it will guarantee that I'm going to fix my mana. But in this case,
I was going to say
because we got so many artifacts, artifacts do the fixing.
But if you look really quickly just at this pips, we got 5 white pips in the whole deck, 37 blue, and 12 black. Like, we're so unbalanced, it's crazy.
Sure, but I would suggest just try it. Just try it, and you'll see. It actually works out. It actually works out fine. Because what you might have, I mean, maybe it doesn't matter because we got so much fixing anyways. But you could try just only put islands in and then see how does it play. And then if you find that there are moments where you're really needing that white or that black, then you might as well just evenly split it all up. And then it guarantees, or not guarantees, this is all luck, but it gives you a better probability of just at least getting a more balanced set of colors overall. And you don't end up in like an island pocket during a game when you're like desperately needing that one color. Or if you do have a pocket, it's going to be a bit smaller. So that's just how my thinking is on that.
I'm ripping through some opening hands here. And I think there's like one that hasn't been good. Like that one had 3 lands, 3 cost reducers, or 2 cost reducers. That one's a weak one. So like 2 out of 9 so far. But it honestly looks like it does really, really have a lot of good fixing in it.
Because the thing also to remember about that approach is in Commander, we've got one spell we're going to be able to cast repeatedly. Whatever that spell's mana colors are, in our case it's evenly split, a white, a blue, a black, that would be something that we're going to probably be able to play on turn 4 if everything goes badly. It'll be like a turn 4 play, and that's really the biggest advocate why you build a evenly distributed mana base over all in blue, because if you can't on turn 4 play your commander, then something's gone wrong, right? But yeah, I think the fixing is still going to be very good in this.
Yeah, I'm looking at this right now, and it's I've got a turn 3 commander here. It's looking pretty good. Do 4, do a Joyras, put this under this, play a land, make a Joyras. Yeah, it looks fun. I'm happy to end it here and stuff. I think it looks pretty good. It looks like a fun deck. I think, like you said, we're gonna have to play around with the land bases with doing it, but I like this theme. I really, really am a fan of this this bobblehead sub theme. I like the artifact idea that Hans had kind of gone over.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see what Hans thinks about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll like it.
Sucks.
You probably have suggestions
Sucks.
as well.
Trash it.
I'm never building this deck ever again.
What kind of an animal puts 2 planes in a deck? We've got a little long here, so I say we roll her here. Where's my button? Thank you guys for getting through our long live brew. Honestly, still pretty budget, $179. These I'm actually probably gonna build this or a version of this. The Y'shtola looks pretty fun. So yeah, what would you guys put in the deck? What would you take out of the deck? Would you go this artifact route? Again, any of these cards you want, go to houseofcards.ca. It's going to be the best place to buy cards, especially over here. Maybe not for Thunder's case. Maybe the European side of things is not going to be there. But for over here and America, obviously, houseofcards.ca. Check out AI Armor Sleeves. They're great. Like, share, subscribe. It really does mean a lot to us. It gets more eyes on it. Makes it so we can do more. If you want to go above and beyond, like, share, subscribe, which everyone should do. And everyone who has done it lately, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Come hang out on Patreon, build decks with us, that kind of thing. Just hang out, chat. Great people over on Patreon, so I really appreciate that. And check out Thunder's article on the mana bases and the 8x8 stuff, because it is a fun way. Thunder actually thinks deck building through, just like Sherman, instead of just jumbling cards in a deck and saying it's a day. That's I just throw a stack at the wall, and whatever lands is pretty much what the deck's going to be. So thank you guys for getting through this one, and yeah, let us know if there's another one you want us to live brew, because I like this. And this is technically an estimated bracket 2, nice casual deck, $179, doesn't break the bank. I'm happy with it. And with that, I say goodnight to everyone, and I let the song roll. Now I fade to the screen.
All right, later, all.
Auf Wiedersehen.